So today we're going to talk about basically, some tips and tricks for, when you're starting out becoming a model and you're just getting into it. You've been doing this for a while now, so you have,
3-4 years, yeah.
good amount of experience in this. So just to start this out, I just want to ask you, through the years, what is the main thing that you feel like you've learned when it comes to being a model?
What I've learned and that I would like to advise to all the beginner models is safety. Above all, just safety. There are a lot of perverts out there who are waiting to take advantage of young girls coming into the industry. And it is so easy to hide in the photography industry. Oh yeah, I'll take pictures of you, you know what I mean? And then they end up touching you or more. Safety first. Fuck the photo. Can I swear on this?
You can swear.
Okay, nice. Fuck the photos. It ain't worth it. Take care of yourself. Make sure everything is set up. So I don't know who am I supposed to look at, camera or you?
You can look at either one.
Okay, cool. What was I saying?
You were saying safety first, basically.
Safety first, absolutely. So I highly recommend that when you are shooting as a photographer for the first time, don't do boudoir or don't do swimming suit. Just fill out the person first, and then maybe transition into a more revealing photography. Also, I highly recommend doing it in studios, in public studios, renting a place where there's a receptionist or other people shooting, just because if you've never shot with a photographer and you're going into their house, you're going on their territory, they're gonna have a lot more power, so just take care of yourself. The photos aren't worth it, they're not worth it. Safety first.
Okay, so going into that a little bit more, because I hear that a lot about, basically models being taken advantage of and stuff, and you always get the models who are posting on their stories saying, this photographer did this and this photographer did that, and I feel from a social aspect, it's very hard to judge just off the bat, because obviously it's just, usually when you see a photographer or creative, it's a lot of, just photos and their work on their page and stuff like that. What would be some of the signs you would say just getting into it that, would kind of be red flags when it comes to working with a photographer for the first time as a new coming model?
Well, I guess a good way to describe it is the personal experiences I had with photographers, the ones that I did not end up shooting with. For example, if a photographer says, oh, and that legit happened to me, bring a revealing outfit because I like to edit the skin. Excuse you? You know what I mean? Okay, that's a little weird. And then you look at his photos and you're you just blur out the skin. This is not really any type of amazing editing or whatnot.
Right.
Or one thing that I want to point out is you, as a model, don't need to be friends with a photographer. This is not a friendship. This is more a professional relationship. And it happens so much in the industry where a photographer expects you to be friends with him. And I'm if you're an 18-year-old girl, you have no business being friends with a 40, 50-year-old man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they're trying to guilt you into a friendship, trying to guilt you into letting them touch you or shooting revealing stuff, that's a big red flag. And it happened to me personally with the friendship aspect of it as well, where usually when you're getting your photos, it's either via email or sometimes they'll even send it to you to your phone number. So I gave my phone number to a certain photographer, and then he really wanted to make friends, but in a very unhealthy, pushy way, right? And he would call me, talk about his life, make me feel bad for them. But it got to the point where he would call me at 1 a.m.
Oh no.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say. I'll tell you who it was afterwards. But this is not a normal model photographer relationship, and nobody should be guilting you into being friends with them. So if they're oh, let's shoot, oh, let's go get food afterwards. If you don't feel comfortable getting food afterwards, you don't have to. And if there are some motherfucker who's oh, well, then I'm not gonna give you photos back, which happens too. Fuck the photos, honestly.
Yeah, it's not that serious.
Not that serious.
It goes back to a point that I have with a lot of different models and photographers that I'm around. It's that, you kind of got to understand, first off, why you're doing this, and you have to understand, just the perspective, of are you doing this to be, you know, professional because you want to make it somewhere in this industry? Are you doing it just because you enjoy taking photos and you just want to work with photographers in the industry, you know, or is there like some different like motive for why you do it? Because if you're just going around just wanting to take photos, it's very easy to just, you know, be naive when it comes to certain things. So I feel like a lot of the times, you know, when it comes to those models who are, you know, who end up in those predicaments, it's because they're naive to a lot of situations and they just put themselves in the position to, you know, kind of be powerless when it comes to, you know, those situations because they're not really thinking about like what this person on the other end's intentions are. They just want to go take photos. And just wanting to go take photos can put you in a terrible position, just like with anything in the world. If you just want to make money or you just want to, you know, you just want an opportunity or something when you're naive to, you know, the other end of, you know, how you're getting the opportunity or how you're getting, you know, this work done, you know, it could put you in very vulnerable positions. So that's just how I feel about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me think.
Tips to actual modeling. Like, let's say we're past the point of it being safety. Like, you got a photographer that you really like, you feel comfortable with him. Now it comes to modeling. Few tips and tricks. First of all, the easiest one and the one that I was taught by Chatsky, you know, the one that I shoot with the most. The more uncomfortable the pose feels, the better it looks on camera. The more awkward it looks in real life, the better it translates on camera. And the other thing that you want to keep in mind, you always want to balance out your body. So for example, if you're using this hand, you know, on this hip, you want to balance out the image with your opposite leg. You always want to have angles to you. Those are the two main ones that I can think of at the moment.
I could definitely see that because I see, especially like when we were just shooting right now, it's like the angles that you really like or the things that you do that really look like, you'll probably think like, oh my God, like why am I doing this? Those are the ones that when I see it in the camera, I'm like, I love this shot. It's because I feel like the best way to go with photography and with being a model is to do something like unconventional or something that's different. And the only way you get different is by stepping out of your comfort zone. You don't get, you know, you don't get different. You don't get, you know, something that's going to catch the eye by just doing something that everybody does. Anybody can go in and, you know, take a regular beauty shot. Anybody can go in and, you know, have some solid lighting on their photos. But what models go into it thinking, how can I do something that's never been done or never been seen before or something just new and spectacular? And a lot of people don't go in that direction when it comes to creating because of that feeling like they're, you know, it's weird. Awkward or they're weird or they're, you know, and I'm not a fan of it because I like the
weirdness.
I like the
weirdness.
Yeah, I like the
just like alternative ways about it. And don't ever feel weird if you're modeling. Like, people do the craziest shit that end up to being on a billboard of New York's Times Square. So like, you should never feel, the weirder you feel, the better the shot is.
Yeah, some of my favorite creatives in the world, they just do some crazy stuff that I always love, and you just fall in love with different aspects of people who are just different, you know.
What's the chemistry between you two when you guys shoot the photos? Because you guys were doing a lot of bickering.
What do you mean we were doing a lot of bickering?
Yeah, like you were adjusting the camera at bad moments, or like what's going on? What's happening?
Well, okay, it has to do with the fact that, I mean, I've been shooting for some time with a lot of different photographers. So usually, in my case, I'm used to photographers when they're adjusting the camera, that means they're not getting the shot they want. And you know, I just did like 12,000 poses for you and you're still adjusting your camera.
Okay,
so.
well the thing is you have to understand that like when I'm shooting, like when I'm doing it and I have the lighting and all that, first off, you were, okay.
Up and down.
She was all over the place because she was like, she couldn't like, she had the caution, you guys will see in the pictures. It doesn't make sense what I'm saying right now. But she had the caution tape like wrapped to her so she can only like be in a certain position. And like, I had the lights in a certain position. And it's like, as a photographer will understand. It's like, she's like going all the way down and shit. And it's dope, don't get me wrong.
I understand too, okay? I've been around.
Yeah, so we ended up bickering. It's just regular model, you know, photographer moments.
You know, okay.
Who makes the shot, the model or the photographer? And I'm gonna go on to say absolutely 100% the photographer makes the shot. And I'm gonna tell you why the photographer makes the shot. The photographer makes the shot because, let me tell you this, it's because no matter how amazing of a model. Karyne, you're an amazing model. I will go on to say this. But guess what? You can't pick up the camera and take the photo yourself.
Fuck yeah, I can.
So,
That's where you're wrong.
No. I'm gonna tell you this. So, yeah, you can set up a camera. You can, maybe go and put it on there how you want it. But guess what? The angle, the lighting, everything that you need to make that shot perfect is coming from the photographer's end. And the model can do, amazing poses. They can understand lighting as well. They can even know how to take the shot themselves. But at the end of the day, if you're a model and you're a photographer, which I've seen it,
Rebecca.
the photographer side of you is the more important side of you.
I mean, in modeling, I need to understand the photographer side to be able to take good photos as a model.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I need to know where the lighting is. And I struggle with that, where I change myself. I change it up and down. I go from standing up to going down. But that's like when I get into it, I'm not really paying attention, keeping track. But I'd say it's 60% photographer, 40% model. Because you can have a real boring model, and there's not much you can do with her or him.
Okay.
They. With they.
Got you.
I'm sure you've experienced that before. No matter what angle you take, no matter how good the light is, if they just don't know what they're doing, or their expression's not matching their body, or they're not even trying, there's not much you can do. You know what I mean? It's going to be a very boring photo that you're not going to post on Instagram or post on whatever social media you're using.
Yeah.
So, but on the opposite spectrum of it, you can be an amazing fucking model. You can be Tyra Banks or whatever, whatnot, Gigi Hadid, Kendall Jenner. But if you got a mediocre ass photographer who, is still learning or tries to use natural light in a really wrong way, it's not going to lead anywhere.
I can see it.
I've had experiences where I've done photo shoots which haven't been posted on my page for a reason, where I look at it and I'm like, I know I ain't that ugly. Like, what angle, I had a photographer once.
So you're blaming the photographer for your bad photos?
Yes, because of the lighting they used. So, for example, I had a photographer, we were in a dark room, and he was using the light from underneath, and that's the only light he used. You know what happens when you use the light from underneath? It exaggerates all your wrinkles, your under eye circles, it makes you look fatter, it makes your jaw just explode. Yes, I absolutely blame him for the bad photos, because I know what the fuck I'm doing, but with bad light,
Okay. I know a lot of models experience this. A lot of models. What do you do if you're in the position where a photographer posts a photo that the model doesn't like?
I ask them to take it down, and I have before.
What do you do if they don't?
I have not experienced that.
Okay.
But the photographer, this is literally the same photographer I'm talking about, who used the light from underneath and just made me look not very flat.
This guy's fucking up all around the board.
So he has 2 Instagram pages. He posted it on both of them, right? I asked him to take it down on one of his pages, which I felt awkward about asking him, but I'm like, this is a really bad representation of me. You know what I mean? I don't want people thinking that I'm catfishing or some shit like that. So he took it down from one of his pages, and then I noticed he didn't take it down from his other page. So I had to go back and ask him to take it down from that page as well. And he did, no problem. And there are other photos he took in that session that are okay, that they're good. I don't want to say they're okay. Oh my God, this person's gonna know what I'm talking about. That are good, that he kept on, you know what I mean? But that particular photo with the lighting.
Well, just from a photographer's perspective, me personally, if you don't like the photos, I'm gonna take them down. But it's like, it's just like with anything. If you're a model or you're a photographer, you don't always get it right. You don't, that's the reality of this field. I think the need for perfection is so off because it's such a hard field where it's easy to make mistakes. Sometimes you do make mistakes. Sometimes,
but don't post those mistakes.
Yeah, don't. I won't go as far as that. Like, you don't have to post everything you work on. Like, there's experiences where you could just learn from them. You can see it and as a photographer, you should be able to diagnose those mistakes you make, whether, you messed up on one of the lighting angles that you did, or, you feel like you could have edited it better, or you could have did this. It's just perspective, and you got to learn from those mistakes as a photographer or even as a model,
Yes, and I was going to say for us models, I've been in a position before where I did a photo shoot and the photographer told me, honestly, I don't like any of the photos that we got together. It's not you. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't get the light right. So I never got any photos back from that photo shoot. But honestly, I'd rather them be honest than give me some piece of shit being like, hey, whatever. And
Yeah.
I've had to understand that. I had to be understanding, even though I had to make a drive for those photos. It was like in the suburbs. It was over an hour drive to that photo shoot. And then we got photos back, and it's okay. Because the photographer did tell me that, hey, I'm not feeling these photos. They didn't turn out good. This is not a good representation of my work. I'm sorry about that. So us models, we need to understand that. And we need to accept that, and we can't get mad about that.
Okay, so here's a question. This is a very, very touchy subject because I feel like this is going to attack a lot of just general people out there. What do you feel like? Everybody, you know, me being a photographer, I see it so much. And I'll say it, like, what makes somebody a model? Because everybody says they're a model these days. Does just getting in front of a camera make you a model? Does the experience make you a model? Does just saying you're a model make you a model?
No.
What makes, because I feel like this is something that needs to be defined.
More defined,
It
yeah.
needs to be defined moving forward because it's like you can't just take photos and just walk around saying you're a model because it's like it defeats the whole purpose of everything that we were raised off of, as creatives. Back then you knew there was a clear-cut definition of what a supermodel was. There was a clear-cut definition of what a model was. These are people who, whether they were in commercials or they were in, different type of fashion shows and things like that, you had an idea of, oh, this person is a model. But nowadays, with the development of social media, everyone is saying they're a model just because they're going around taking photos with, and it can even be with amateur photographers. Everybody's saying they're a model. So what do you feel like truly defines what a model is?
Your skill set. And by your skill set, I mean a model can do it all. Modeling is a shortcut to acting, almost. When you're in front of the camera, in front of the camera, you need to embody whatever you're doing. Whenever you're doing commercial work, whenever you're selling a bottle of soda or garments, whatever it is, you need to be good at it. So it goes from beauty to commercial to creative to runway to videos. You need to do it all, and you need to be good at all of it. That's what makes a model. Just because you take nice boudoir photos and you have a nice butt, it doesn't make you a model. I'm sorry. That's like right there, half of the models in this industry are falling off, you know what I mean? So it's just be good in everything.
Right.
If you're just taking one type of photos and it's like fashion photos, street style photos, and it's very similar poses, and you're not pushing yourself to do crazy uncomfortable stuff, that's not really a model. And it comes to, okay, it's time to do a video, it's time to do film, time to do an advertisement. If you cannot feel comfortable in front of a camera, if you cannot seamlessly pull off that look, you're not a model. Same thing with runway. Personally, I hate runway, and I just talked to Tatsu about it, actually, how I push myself to do runway more because I get so nervous and I flunk. Like, I have an amazing catwalk when I'm at home, and then
Right.
it comes to runway, it comes to the light on me, it comes to the people, the nerves get the best of me, and I just become stiff, and it's not as good. So this is an aspect of my modeling career that I'm working on right now. I'm not very good at runway, so I keep pushing myself to do runway.
Right.
You need to be good at all of it. Whatever, it's literally as simple as whatever object is around me. If you're a model, I can hand you that object and you're gonna sell that object.
Yep.
Whenever it's a hairspray, whenever it's that bottle, whenever it's that chair, So that's what modeling is, being good in all the things. Not just one thing, not just a niche, not just, oh, I'm good at lingerie. No, that's part of what you should be good at.
Right. I agree. I feel like it really does narrow down to what you can do as a model. As a photographer, you can tell personally. Like if I'm shooting with somebody, it's the way I see if you're a model or not. Do you make my job easier or do you make my job harder? That's just it. I narrow it down. Like I don't overcomplicate it. Simple as that. If you make my job easier, I see you as, a good model, a solid enough model. Because at the end of the day, it's like, you know what you're doing. You know you're posing. You see the lights. You understand where the lights are coming from. You see, how I'm shooting, and you kind of have an, understanding of what I'm trying to portray when I'm, shooting you from this angle or this angle. And that really is what what defines it for me. But I think I definitely think when it comes to like selling and, you know, being able to, you know, do different things and jump into video and runway and all of that stuff, it definitely makes a difference because, you know, at the end of the day, you should be able to do, you know, more as a model. But
How do you get into it then?
what?
How do you get into modeling if there's a boundary if you're a model or not?
Well, experience, you keep doing it, you know. The way I got into modeling, I just kept doing it. I wasn't a model, I guess call it amateur model versus an established model, and then professional model, and then whatnot.
Well, I think how it goes when it goes to when it comes to how you get into modeling, you know, and how you officially can call yourself is just like with anything, just like being a photographer. It's like you have to go through that phase where you're learning. You know, with anything, you have to go through that phase, but I can't just start, you know, today, like open up a computer and try hacking into somebody's account and then say I'm a hacker. You know, like I can't just like, it doesn't just go, you can't just jump into something and just say, I feel like I'm good at it. Like, I feel like I got the first letter of his email right. You know, like I feel like I did something right now. It's like you gotta jump into it, you gotta do it. And you got to have experience with it. And after a certain time, you become comfortable with it enough to say, you know, I'm at that point where I feel like I'm comfortable with the craft and what I do. So that's just how I feel. We got one more question.
How do you deal with people that are poorly professional, not professional?
How do I?
You're nice.
Yeah. So how I deal with
Nice.
how I deal with unprofessional people, it's just like, for me, I am a very nice person. It's very hard for me to like get upset or to really like, you know, show like the side of me, you know, how I act when, you know, I am upset.
You don't lose your shit easily.
I don't lose my shit. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. So it's like, when I'm dealing with somebody unprofessional, I just try to get through it, honestly. Unless it gets to a point where it's like, it's becoming too much. But how do you deal with someone when you feel like they're unprofessional?
Shit, I'm still figuring out, but mostly I just block.
I'm not into the blocking thing.
I block because I don't want to deal with it, you know? Like, I have so much going on in my life, I don't have time.
You know what? I've never understood the
Because I don't want them to reach out to me. I don't want them to look at the stuff that I post. Because usually unprofessional people stuck your shit. You know they usually
why do girls feel like they get some kind of power by blocking people?
But see, it's different. It's not about power. It's just me not wanting those people in my life. I just want to eliminate it, right? Like if you have an unwanted hair on your forehead, you're just gonna pluck it out.
Right. So when you block somebody, what do you do if you have to like run into them or if you get in a situation?
Don't talk to them.
What if you have to?
I'm not in a position where I have to.
Okay.
Like I don't put myself in those positions. Like if I know those people work, let's say somebody's throwing a fashion show and I know that those people work with those people and they're gonna be there, I'm not gonna go to that fashion show.
Right.
You know, I don't really.
See, I'm a different kind of person. I feel like I won't block you because I want you to see me.
See?
Like I want you to be like.
I've had like I want to have that mindset, but I strongly believe in people's ill intent and evil eye, and like you will like don't underestimate the amount of times people that don't like you go in your profile and just hate, just have this energy of hate that they saw. I guess you have a really good shield against that, man.
Let them. I mean, when it comes to people disliking you or people hating on you, what can you do? It's gonna happen either way, though. Yeah. Whether you block them or you're not, if you block them, they can't see it to hate. I want them to see me.
No, I don't want them to talk about me, though. That's why I block them, because eventually they just get bored and they move on and they have the next person they want to talk about and hate. And that's like the whole point with me. I want them to shift their focus.
Nah, I want to be the most hated.
Well, yeah, because that's you know, Cardi B made it that way, so.
Nah, it's not necessarily that. It's just I feel like I want people to see me succeeding. I don't feel the need to ever, because at the end of the day, it's like if someone really wants to see you, I mean, with this social media stuff, you block somebody, they make a new account, they go in your account.
I block that account.
How do you know, though?
I can usually tell. It's usually like, you can usually tell. It's the similar name that they will use. You can usually tell. Or as simple as I have an unknown account that's obviously a fake account that watches every one of my stories all the time. I don't particularly know who it is, but I'll block them because I know it's somebody who's clearly already blocked on my page and stuck in my shit, you know, so.
You're just out here blocking random accounts, probably.
So I have like maybe 80 accounts blocked, something like
Dang.
that. But to be fair, there was some, like, a lot of, you know, I'm in a relationship. I don't have my engagement ring on right now because I had gloves on, but, you know, like, his exes would make fake accounts to stack my shit, so I just keep blocking them. They made a ridiculous amount of fake accounts, so
We wanted to
that's why.
what was going on.
But yeah, I don't want to deal with it. That's why, just block. And then, you know, if they still talk about me. I know they talk about me because I have other people who told me that they talk about me. The best thing you can do, if you don't want to, if you're not like Corey and you don't want to deal with it, you just ignore it, and then they lose interest. The only way those people don't lose interest if you're feeding into their bullshit. You know, you're giving them the reaction that they want. But if you're just like ignoring them, like they don't exist there, they'll leave you alone. Because they get bored. I guess that's it. Our light just died, so
that is the end of After the Shoot podcast. Thank you
Yes,
for
it
coming
is.
to.
God.
This is the 3rd episode of After the Shoot podcast.
I shouldn't do that.
Cut.